Welcome back, Dead Ball Dancing. Christmas is over. The holidays are essentially over. And that's good news because it means that this basketball mini break is also over.
Thank God. Thank God. I mean, the holidays are my favorite time of the season. I mean, Thanksgiving, tournaments, Christmas, love Christmas time. The kind of the week between Christmas and New Year's, like, doesn't really exist. Like, you could do whatever you want. But man, it's good to have some basketball back. And how was your Christmas, man? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, not a whole lot of activity. Really quiet here, which I really, really appreciate.
Yep.
And now it's time to really hit horse season full swing, basketball season full swing. Fantasy football is just about over here, which means we can finally enjoy a football game for the first time since the early fall.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited just for the way that sports moves into the new year here. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, me too, man. And we did have some pretty good basketball last weekend. Some really interesting results. I don't know if you got a chance to watch anything on Sunday. I know as we're getting into the holidays, it's tougher to watch. But like Pittsburgh beating the hell out of Penn State, like that was really random. They won by 40. You had Purdue Fort Wayne go into Notre Dame and win that game. That was really weird. But what I really like here is we're finally starting to get some stability, in our top 25. But man, we got a lot to discuss today. I know we're disconnected on a few things. So why don't you kick us off, man, and let's just dive right into it, huh?
Yeah, I just want to warn the viewers. We're going to talk a lot of West Coast Conference today. It kind of just happened. And I literally have the rankings up on my screen because I can't remember which crappy West Coast teams are in this conference and which ones are in the WAC and which ones are in directional Little Sisters of the Poor or wherever Grand Canyon's playing. So I literally have it up on my screen because I can never remember. So for everybody else who has the same problem, West Coast Conference is Gonzaga.
Yep.
Plus the Pac-12.
Yes. Yep.
So just kind of keep that in mind. This is a good conference. This is not a powerhouse conference by any means.
Nope.
But if you need 8 seconds to pull up the standings, don't feel bad about that because I'm doing the same thing.
And by the way, for the viewers, Rick will have to remind me again as we start talking about the WAC and the WCC. Like Rick will have to continually remind me. So if you see me shake my head in frustration, it's because I never remember either. So if that makes you feel any better as we get into it, don't stress. But start us off, Rick, what you got?
Really, let's stay there. Right? It speaks to identity.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for most people in the country, there's only one team in this conference, and there only ever has been, right? And it's Gonzaga.
Yep.
And St. Mary's has been good. We'll talk about them here shortly. But, most people name another.
Yeah.
Name another. Most people can't. And that's because these teams have been mostly irrelevant since Gonzaga got good, right? I mean, there hasn't been another team in this conference that matters because it's just not there. So when you have all these smaller schools out west, I understand why people don't exactly know where they are. And then all the shit with the Pac-12, Pac-2, and like how they went about things. Which,
right.
We could do a whole episode on Pac-12 collapse. But, I look at this conference from the top down and I see teams that at least you and I have talked about.
Oh, yeah.
And we obviously go a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about Santa Clara some today.
Yep.
We're going to talk about Seattle some today.
Yeah.
But then, you got Pepperdine and you got San Diego. Not San Diego State.
San Diego.
San Diego. The Dons have been good. San Francisco has been good in recent years, but not like get on your national media radar good.
Yeah.
So I like this conference because it does run a little bit under the radar. So I wanted to talk to you about St. Mary's, who is playing really, really well, 11-2 so far on the season. I've got them up at 15. Yep. And really, we've talked a lot about how you and I approach rankings differently.
Yeah.
I am taking Gonzaga and St. Mary's and moving them both artificially up my board because one of them will lose. I think it is St. Mary's that will lose to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They usually do. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That'll obviously slide them from 15 to somewhere much more close to, I think, where you have them. This is a borderline tournament team who is capable of playing. Obviously, if you win your conference, you're in no matter what.
Of course.
I think I'm too high on the Zags.
And I'm probably too low.
A lot of the reasons that we've talked about in the past.
Yep.
I got to figure out my camera.
It's okay, brother. Keep it rolling.
Lighting and camera, and I'll stand all the way back here. So talk to me about St. Mary's and like what is it just comes right back in.
Well,
I will fix this week, guys. I'm figuring. I got a light ring. I'm figuring out this new setup, this new filming location. I think I just need to buy an even more expensive camera because this one's already nice.
Solution to problems often requires throwing money at it, so I don't necessarily blame you.
The big solution is switch back to PC and stop running this entire setup off a Chromebook. I can't do anything with the camera. The camera just does what it wants. I can't set like a focus zone or anything for it. Anyway, talk to me about St. Mary's and why. Acknowledging that we are probably both over-ranking Gonzaga. Yeah. Talk to me about why Gonzaga is ranked higher for you than St. Mary's when the resume, not just this season, but every season, is very, very similar.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I'll start with St. Mary's because I kind of almost want to compartmentalize the two, though kind of have the same argument, which I think you're going to throw back in my face later. So when I look at St. Mary's, although they're an incredibly efficient team, and you look at them, and no matter how you parse out the stats, they look really good. One common theme that I'm going to talk about today is body of work, breadth of work, right? And when you look at St. Mary's, I'm probably too low with them. 38 doesn't feel fair. But when you look at their body of work, man, like I know you have them at 15, but the 15th ranked team, your 15th ranked team, which we just said, there's probably some sliding that needs to happen, has played Arkansas State. They won by 13. Wichita State, pretty bad this year, 5-point win. Virginia Tech, 11-point win. Davidson, 9-point win. Boise State, 1-point loss, right? Florida Atlantic, 13-point win. And then University of North Iowa, 5-point win. So they've played one Power 4 team, Vandy, right? And we know Vandy's kind of a juggernaut this year. And they lost by 25 points. So, I'm going to have a very similar argument to Gonzaga. But when I look at this St. Mary's team and the teams that they've played, pretty weak to date, right? We know that as they get into the WAC, the schedule's going to get a little bit tougher. 197th in 2-point percentage, 200th in field goals made, 275th in 3 points made, 174 in assisted turnovers, and 186 in committed turnovers. And that's against the caliber of team that they've played to date. So I think, as I'm looking at this team and they're going to have to play against tougher teams in their conference, I'm concerned that their stats look really bad against not that great of teams. We know this team can play defense. That's always been their pedigree. But you look at their size, and against Vandy, they got outscored in the paint 48-24 and 14 assists to 12 turnovers. So we know they're going to be there. Even if they don't win their conference, they're probably going to get an at-large bid. I mean, I believe they were almost a Sweet 16 team last year. If not, they might have been. So I'm actually curious, from your perspective, kind of tossing it back to you, knowing kind of what I just rolled out, what, in your opinion, has them at 15? Not that I mind it, but what do you think they've done to deserve it?
They're better than Gonzaga.
Don't mind that.
And we're going to see that really soon. But really what I've seen from them is they've done just enough to show me that they will win their conference. You talk about coming into conference play, and the teams you listed that they beat, the teams they're supposed to beat, right?
True.
That's their conference.
Yeah.
Outside of Gonzaga, as we just talked about, there is not a team in this conference that a layman, a normal person, can tell you anything about. Usually, not even where the school is.
Fair.
Fair. Outside of Portland and Santa Clara,
USF.
A lot of these are kind of questionable, right? Where are these schools?
True.
So for me, they are not Vandy. But we don't have them ranked like Vandy.
True.
Right? I'm looking at the rankings and just where I have them, the aggregate aside, they're with Tennessee, who is real questionable and can't beat elite level talent. They're with Florida, Kansas, Kentucky, Iowa, Louisville, and they are probably not on a neutral court better than all those teams I just named.
Yeah.
But you schedule them against Michigan State, UConn, Purdue, Vandy, I'll say Illinois. None of those teams are beating those teams, St. Mary's included.
Yep.
So for me, they kind of belong in that 15 to 22 block where we've been dumping these teams. We have no idea who they are, but we know that they're not the cream of the crop. That's kind of the thinking there. Like St. Mary's is not Vanderbilt, but St. Mary's is North Carolina, Georgia, Louisville. That's kind of where I'm coming at.
I think where I'm concerned on the St. Mary's piece is, right, let's say they don't win their conference, right? And let's say Gonzaga, and again, they're in the same conference as Gonzaga. Whack.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
They're not in. If they don't win the conference, they don't make it.
So, but let's say, I mean, they might do enough to get an at-large, right, Rick? Because their conference is solid. Like, San Francisco's pretty good. USD is pretty good. Portland looks a little bit better. You'll talk a little bit about Seattle later. They might pull an at-large bid. There's a chance that they pull an at-large bid. And my concern is if they get an at-large bid, they might be in 11 or 12. And they're going to pull a team like a BYU or like a Nebraska or Gonzaga, right? So I'm concerned that if they pull a team like that, it's going to get ugly in the first round of March Madness. And that's why I'm kind of like, well, maybe 38's unfair, but I'm just not sure what they've done, to be in that conversation. But when you make the argument that they're similar to a UNC or similar to a Louisville, I actually like that comparison because their style of play, the way their roster constructed, actually mirrors those pretty well. So I think, as we see them go into St. Mary's lost to Grand Canyon in the first round last year. I thought they played Bama in the second or third. That's a really good comment by Alan. But I could have sworn someone fact checked me. Didn't they play Bama in round 2 or round 3 last year? We'll look into that. But I think, I'm probably going to see St. Mary's fly up my particular rankings in the next couple of weeks as they get into conference play, which then again will affect the aggregate. So.
Well, that's the thing. The games will take care of themselves, right? I mean, they play the bottom of the conference. I mean, they don't play the Zags until the 31st of January.
And they play them twice too, right? So that'll be kind of interesting to see how both those games turn out.
The last game of the year is the last one.
Yeah, and that could be for the regular season conference championship too. So I think we'll see. St. Mary's will probably be a conversation for us over the next couple of weeks as we continue to see them, pop in and out of the top 25. But great way to start the conversation. I'm actually going to take it into
Grand Canyon got curb stomped by Alabama.
That's what I thought. Grand Canyon and then didn't they play each other? I could have swore they played each other. So I'm actually, if you don't mind, Rick, I'm going to keep it in the whack, and I'm going to kind of beat a dead horse here a little bit and take us into Gonzaga. And I'm just as much at fault for Gonzaga being 11 in our rankings as you are. You have them at 12. I have them at 16, I believe. And I'm going to ask a question before I get into my monologue. What the hell has Gonzaga done to be number 11 on our top 25?
You see, it's the breadth of their work.
I get the 30-point win over Kentucky, right? But Kentucky's 23 in our rankings. We've kind of shat on Kentucky all year. They're still a tournament team. Oregon almost beat them, right? UCLA almost beat them, and they lost to UM by 40. Granted, UM is curb stopping the shit out of everybody this year, so I'm not that upset about that loss. But this is one of those things where the stats don't tell the story, right, Rick? They're number 4 in scoring margin, but aside from the teams I just named, they're playing Pennsylvania State, Tech, A&M, School for the Blind, and it's of course, a
72-point win over Southern Utah is
it's inflating. That's what I'm saying. It's skewing the data. It's you look at you look at the style of play, right? We just said they have St. Mary's 2 times, and I think both of our opinions, St. Mary's could definitely take one of those. They can't shoot free throws. They're 177th in the nation. They're 194th in 3 points made. They're 216th in committed fouls. They're 138th in first half defense. There's a lot of holes in this Gonzaga team. So Rick, turn it back to you. Why do we keep having Gonzaga in our top 25? Like, in all seriousness, like, is it just a bias? Is it this blue blood stuff we keep talking about?
It's a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, this team's undefeated. This team is 12-1. 12 wins is 12 wins is 12 wins, right?
Yeah.
They beat a really good Creighton team by a lot, by 27 points.
Yeah.
They beat Alabama by 10.
Yeah.
Yes, a 40-point loss to Michigan does not look good, but if Michigan is what we think Michigan is, okay, sure. I mean, Gonzaga could be the number 2 team in the country, right?
Sure. Yeah.
If Michigan is that, if Michigan is the team that beat Gonzaga, we might have seen the number 1 team run away with a game over the number 2 team.
Yeah.
And that pedigree and that schedule and that conference, if I told you it was Michigan Gonzaga in the national championship game, neither one of us would be surprised.
Not necessarily. Yeah. Not necessarily.
So I think that's some of it, right? Is we know this team is capable of beating ranked opponents by 30. We've seen it year after year after year, including this year.
Yep.
They beat the ever living hell out of Kentucky.
Yeah. 30
and
points.
Kentucky's down, right? Down year, but Kentucky, ranked.
Yeah.
Good. UCLA, maybe, but I think that's it, right? That is, other than one horrific blemish, this team is undefeated.
Yeah.
And this team is the favorite to win their conference by far.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're in. And if you do that and your only loss of the year is to a top 3 team, I mean, that's a top 5 team in final rankings, most likely. And, it's tough to go undefeated conference play. I'm not saying that they're going to, but, if they came in, 20, how many they got this year? If they come in like 28-1 and win the West Coast Conference, that's a top 5 team.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be asking the question the same way as we are today. Like, what have they done? Right. They took care of business on their schedule. They lost to a Big Ten championship contender. And that's it. And that's really the story for me is, yes, they should have beaten some of these teams by more. The 12-point win over Arizona State is bad. That's a bad basketball team. And, you can start to give the excuses. Well, it was in Tempe. It's a really hard place to play. No, it's fucking not. It's garbage.
No, it's not.
But they won.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as we're sitting here right now, it's getting harder and harder for me to make the argument, because we've talked about this a lot, about how we blow smoke up Gonzaga's ass when they haven't done anything. But I mean, they've done nothing to the tune of 12 wins. So it's getting harder and harder for me to not push them up my board when I think that they can beat, not even on a neutral court, some of the teams that we have in front of them.
Yeah.
I think they take Tennessee right now.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think I just don't, and I think we briefly touched on it last week, Rick. I just don't know who they are, and some of their wins were against preseason really good teams, UCLA, Oregon, Creighton, and those wins are starting to look like shit because the teams they're beating are starting to look bad as well. So it's I just don't. The win over Bama is awesome. I'm a big fan of the win over Bama because even though we slid them down a little bit, they're still 14th in our rankings. They're still a favorite to win the SEC. I really like that win. I really like the win over Kentucky, but it just feels like sometimes they take their foot off the gas against teams that they should be blowing out. And for me, that's where my concern is when they look good, they look real freaking good, but then they look somewhat mid against these other teams. So I know they're probably going to end up being a 3 seed, right? Potentially even a 2 seed if they rampage through their conference and they're 28-1, to your point, to end the year. I just don't know who they are. And that's, for me, over the next couple of weeks, do they falter against some of their conference appointments? Or do they be the Gonzaga that we think they are and start putting their foot on people's necks? So, I'm just really curious to see where they end up. That's all.
There's a great foil in a power conference, a team that does the same thing every single year, and we have no idea who they are, and that's Illinois in the Big Ten.
Yep.
Illinois shits the bed seemingly every single year, but body of work, right? You keep talking about the breadth of work and what they've done. And I look at this Illinois team and I can say all the same things I just said about Gonzaga, right? I mean, they've got some tough losses to teams that we have ranked very highly.
Correct.
So it's the same argument for me until the end, right? When we say Gonzaga is going to be there, right? Gonzaga is going to be a 3. Gonzaga is going to be a 2. Where does Illinois end up? Because we know that there is a mid-season falter coming at some point because they just seem to do that. But they've only lost to Illinois, or to Alabama, UConn, and Nebraska, who I believe are all inside of our top 14.
Correct. Yep.
So is Illinois bad? Are they doing this, right? Are they collapsing? Or are they going to play Southland, Penn State, Rutgers, and then have a home game against Iowa and be sitting here at 13-3 and just kind of be Illinois the way Illinois is every year? You know, the back half of the schedule gets a little tougher, but you can make the same arguments about Illinois. It's like, why don't we have Illinois higher? Why are we punishing Illinois for losing to really good teams when they've taken care of business against other really good teams? You know, good win against Tennessee, good win against the Ohio State team that gets respect from us, but not from anybody else. They blew the doors off a Mizzou team we had ranked earlier this year. Obviously, the wheels have come off a little bit down there, but you know, they're doing the things we're asking them to do. They're playing their schedule, they're winning tough games, and they're losing tough games against really, really good opponents. And they look like Gonzaga East, you know?
In a way, and I love talking about Illinois. So just to give the viewers a little bit of insight, Rick has them at number 8. So damn near, you know, an Elite 8 team, almost a 1 slot, right? And I have them at 27. Very disrespectful on my behalf. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't trust this team. Last year, we had them ranked as high as 10. And then the minute they started the Big Ten season, like Rick just said, the wheels fell off. They lost in the round of 32. It feels like they do this every year, Rick. And we've had this conversation about coaching before. What happens mid-season with coaching scheme, with coaching style, with practice intensity, where they fall off every single year? Really good wins, right? Ohio State and Texas Tech. Texas Tech is starting to climb our rankings a little bit. They're starting the Big Ten with Penn State, Northwestern, Minnesota, Maryland, Iowa. Iowa's a very good team. Do we really think that they're going to be ready for Purdue on 124?
Do we think Purdue's going to be ready on 124?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a really good argument. But I think what my concern is I've seen enough, and we'll talk about the eye test here in a second. I've seen enough from the eye test from my standpoint where I'm feeling like they're going to have that mid-season lull like they did last year, right? They're 360th in forced turnovers. They're 236th in allowed 3 points made, and they're 170th in opponents' field goals made per game. So what are you seeing from the eye test, Rick, that is good enough to be on par for almost a 1 seed with Arizona, Iowa State, and Michigan? What do you like about their style of play that is kind of making you be like, damn, like this team can be a serious contender?
So real quick point of note is that the 8 spot is barely a 2 seed. And saying almost a 1 seed is a bit sensationalist.
If they're 13-3, you're going to move them up.
Not ahead of the rest of the Big Ten.
Okay.
Illinois cannot be top 4 in my rankings unless they win the Big Ten.
Okay, very good.
But what I see from them is scoring, because they have played a tough schedule. They have played good teams. 88 points a game is good for 36th in the nation.
Yep.
They're rebounding really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is because their shooting percentage is kind of shit. So they have to grab a lot of boards. So that's kind of a bullshit stat, but their defensive boards are good too.
Yeah, very good.
I don't like that they give up like 70-ish points a game, because once we get into Big Ten play, that's going to balloon with 19 fouls in the last 4 minutes of the game. But what I really like from Illinois is that this is the same Illinois team that we've seen. And I know that in recent years, they have fallen apart. They have, like last year, right? They beat the shit out of what looked like a really good Wisconsin team, and they went on like a 3-game losing streak. And like they lost at Northwestern, like as the number 9 team in the country. And like they do that, but eventually I feel like that does not happen, right? The way they play basketball is very repeatable. The way they recruit and the way they train and the way they roll out their offense, even with changing pieces, Wagler's different, but even through changing pieces, this Illinois team has been a consistent force going all the way back to the Big Ten West. And eventually, right, that monkey's got to get off their back. Like I'm looking at this schedule and I can see where that bad stretch, they're going to beat Iowa. They'll beat the doors off Iowa and then lose to Northwestern, Minnesota, and Maryland back to back for no reason. That's the stretch, right? That's every single year. So for me, I'm looking at this team. I'm looking at their ability to score points. And I'm just saying to myself, what if? What if they don't lose to Northwestern, Minnesota, and Maryland, who are awful basketball teams?
Yeah.
If that does happen on the tail end of Iowa, we are talking about 4, 7, 8. That's 8 wins in a row going into that game at Mackey. And on paper, it's a good matchup. So, if this Illinois team hasn't had the most horrific luck that turns into diminishing effort like they do seemingly every single year, they always come back strong. It's that lull in the middle. And an Illinois team that doesn't lull in the middle has a shot to beat Purdue.
Yeah,
if they beat Purdue, you got Nebraska a week and a half later, and we might be talking about an Illinois team that, because to have to beat Purdue, the Michigan teams will have played each other by then. We might be talking about an Illinois team in the top 3 teams in the Big Ten. And it's not that crazy to me, but they have to do it because they haven't.
Yeah. And I think I want to challenge one thing, and that's the sustainability of the way that Illinois plays, right? Like obviously they score the lights out of the ball. They shoot the lights out of the ball. But what this team reminds me of, Rick, is essentially a Walmart brand version of Kentucky. And that's that they fall into the trap of too much ISO ball, right? We look at some of the best teams in the nation and they assist on a lot of field goals made. And that's a stat that I've been tracking a little more closely, because if you look at Kentucky and you look how ISO driven they are, it feels like Illinois can fall into that trap, especially against Big Ten teams that pressure you 40 minutes a game, right? They're 260th in assists on field goals made. And what that means, and we talked about it last week a little bit, is how often are you making a basket off an assist? 260th in the country means you're in the bottom third, right? And if you look at the rest of the Big Ten, a Michigan, a Purdue, a Michigan State, that ball's hopping. That ball is moving. And that, to me, feels like a more sustainable brand of basketball than what Illinois plays. Now, you look at roster construction, and this Illinois team can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Height, length, athleticism, body size, right? They're definitely almost like an NBA constructed roster. But let's go back to that Big Ten schedule. Let's say Minnesota, Maryland, and Northwestern, Penn State. If they lose those 4, right, and then have to play Iowa, it's the same thing that happened last year, right? So let's see if that monkey can get off their back. But the reason why I have them so low is because I don't trust them. And their defense at times, when you look at the way they've played, has been suspect, right? Like they're 236th in allowed 3-pointers made a game. And against Big Ten teams like Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State, Nebraska that can shoot the ever-living lights out of the basketball, that spells trouble to me. So let's see. But you're right. I'm probably a little bit unfair to them this year. I just don't trust them.
Well, we'll stay there in the Big Ten. Let's talk some Cornhusker
Let's do it.
basketball.
Let's do it.
You've got them way up the board this week.
Yep.
Talk to me about why Nebraska is the heir apparent in the Big Ten.
So are they going to beat Michigan? No. Are they going to beat Michigan State? Maybe. Right? That game's going to be a bloodbath, and I'm really, really excited to see how that turns out. So let's talk about breadth of work a little bit. Oklahoma, tournament team. New Mexico in the tournament every year. Kansas State, much resurgent Kansas State team. 20-point win over Creighton, 30-point win over Wisco, 3-point win over Illinois. And then we talk about sustainability. What did I just say about assists? They're second in assist to turnover ratio, 11th in assists per game, 13th in assists to field goals made, 10th in 2-point percentage, 17th in 3 points made, and 23rd in second half offense. Cleanliness on the defensive side of the basketball, Rick. 8th in opponents' free throws attempted, 10th in committed fouls, 11th in defensive rebound, 25th in first half defense, 8th in overall field goal percentage defense, and 41st in overall scoring defense. The balance that this team has on both sides of the basketball is very impressive to me. And the way that they're playing defense in conjunction with a very, very good second half offense is very impressive to me. They've held teams to 59 points or less 4 times and 65 points or less 6 times, including like Creighton, they held to 50 points, and Wisco to 60 points. And those are 2 pretty dynamic offensive teams. If they beat Michigan State, it's probably going to be an aggressive comment, but are we sure that they don't try Michigan or Purdue? Are we sure they don't test Michigan or Purdue? I love the way this team plays basketball, and I love that they're undefeated with wins over quad 1 opponents in my perspective. So that's the reason I think why I have them so high. Bit bullish, I would say. And obviously, if they lose to Michigan State, we're going to have a different conversation, but they've proved it so far.
If they take care of Michigan State, it's not going to give them the bump that it normally would, because that game's on Peacock and no one's going to see it.
I know.
But the nice thing is that they don't play Purdue until February. They don't play Michigan until January 27th. So having both of those teams once, I hate the Big Ten conference schedule. Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, I'm with
you. Bring the divisions back. Bring back the Big Ten West. Assholes. Anyway, drawing both those teams only one time. Having to play all the good teams once. Michigan State, Michigan, Illinois, Purdue. They only play Ohio State once. They already beat Illinois. They get Illinois twice.
Yep.
But yeah, so the schedule works out really nicely for them if they can hold it together long enough to get there. We talked about wins. 12-0 is 12-0. I mean, this team has beaten everybody in front of them. You got to keep doing it. And this Michigan State game is a big, big test. And I think what they learn in that game, win or lose, they're going to be able to apply the rest of the Big Ten schedule. I don't know that there's another loss on this schedule until Michigan.
Yeah.
And then, the season kind of falls out the way it will from there. We'll know a lot more about all these teams, obviously, with another month of games under their belts. But at least on paper, they're better than Ohio State. They're way better than Indiana. Oregon's a joke. Northwestern sucks. Washington's no good. Minnesota's no good. I don't know that there's another test in there. So I'm kind of hoping that they play hard with Michigan State, win or lose, because I think they need that. Because, yes, they've beaten some good teams, but they haven't really been battle tested outside of that Illinois game. No one really pushed them onto their heels. And made them fight for a win. They're playing great basketball. I can't take anything away from them. But nobody's had them by the throat. Because even that Kansas State game, that kind of just got tight late. So that's what I want to see is who is this team? Are they an undefeated Big Ten contender? Or are they a Nebraska team that's going to, be around? I mean, this team has probably already done enough. As long as they don't fall off a cliff, we'll see them dancing. And People should be scared. People
Yeah.
should be worried about this team.
It's a well-constructed roster, and if you look at the makeup of Michigan State's lineup, this Nebraska team feels very similar, but a bit more efficient. And that to me, like a slightly more efficient Michigan State, if people watch the way that Nebraska plays, I think they'd be surprised just how good this team is and just how many big dogs they can knock off. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to beat Michigan or Purdue, but I would not be surprised if, as an underdog, they took off one of those teams. So keep your eye out for that Michigan State game. I mean, I think that's obviously going to be our early pick for game of the week. I don't know when that game is, but I would not be surprised if this is not just one of the games of the week, but the game of the year. And if Nebraska beats Michigan State, again, I'm a bit more bullish on them. So I understand that I'm probably pulling the aggregate up a little bit. But if Nebraska beats Michigan State, I will put them in my top five. I will put them in my top five because at that point, you beat Creighton, you beat Wisco, you beat Illinois, you beat Michigan State. What else is there to do until you have to play Michigan? So, for me, probably not a one seed in the tournament, but would not be shocked to see Nebraska at a 2 or 3 slot come dancing time. So really,
I mean, they'd be getting close if you stopped ranking Purdue at 3.
Yeah. Well, that could be a conversation for next week, but Purdue's still my favorite to win the Big Ten. So
let's talk some of your mid majors. We're getting crushed on time here. You want to go Red Hawks or you want to go Pirates?
Let's go Red Hawks. Set the stage for me.
Miami, Ohio is good. The debate, the question here, viewers, is Miami of Ohio a top 15 team, a top 25 team, a top 40 team? We've talked a lot about wins today. We've talked a lot about how you look in those wins. This team is winning a ton of games. Is that enough to rank them X or Y or Z? Justin has them at 15. So talk to me about the MAC and why Miami of Ohio is potentially a 4 seed in the tournament.
Yeah. So definitely not going to be a 4 seed. But I like rewarding good brands of basketball. That's I think the bottom line for me. Now the MAC is 85-60 in non-conference schedule. The MAC is much better than it was last year. I did.
Do you remember the coach last year who was talking about how they were 500 in conference play? The conference, I think it was the ACC, and he goes, "Well, we're only 500 in conference play." And that's what's wrong with like, oh no.
Yeah.
No.
That's just
sorry,
IQ.
go ahead.
No, you're fine. That's just IQ issues in the United States. But 85-60 in non-con schedule, the MAC is a much better conference. And it's improved year over year. Roster construction. They have guards from 6'3" to 6'8" and 2 big 6'10" or taller. That to me feels like a team that could go toe-to-toe with some of the big dogs that we have up here and potentially have, like, this team has upset city written all over it. Are they going to be a 4 seed? No. 5 seed? No. 6 seed? No. If they cruise through the MAC, could they be a 7 or 8 seed in a resurgent MAC conference? I don't necessarily.
If you're an undefeated MAC champion,
like,
the world is your oyster.
Yeah, right. And, we talk about wins or wins. They've won 13 straight, and they're doing it in very convincing fashion. And this team, similar to the comment I had about Nebraska, they're 8th in 3-point, 33rd in 2-point, 27th in free throws, 38th in field goals made. They're 39th in scoring offense, 44th in scoring margin. And what I really like is they're 51st in defensive rebounds, and that's limiting second chances and shooting the lights out. That, to me, is a recipe for success. I look at this Miami of Ohio team. They have tough tests against Buffalo, which is the second team in the conference. And again, we just talked about how the MAC is better. Like, Buffalo might get an at-large bid. Like, there's a chance that Buffalo might get an at-large bid. But ultimately, an improved MAC, I think Miami of Ohio will end the season in the top 25. I really do. And if they keep winning, it's going to be tough for even you to keep them out. And I think the way that they play basketball is very sustainable, and there's a lot of continuity in their game. So do they deserve a damn near 3 seed? No. But I think they've done enough to be in the top 25 conversation. And watch one of their games. The way they fly around the court and the way they take care of basketball, 51st in assist to turnover ratio, is very, very fun to watch. So go Miami of Ohio. And I think, again, end of the year, they're going to be top 25.
Yeah, I have them at 110.
Yep.
I have Akron first place in the MAC right now.
Yep.
But, we'll play all these MAC games and we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Giving up 80-plus points to the Buffalo Male and Female Institute of Milligan doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy, but they won, and they scored 140 points doing it. So
it's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. So quickly turning us, I want to quickly call out the podcast. The podcast has been on fire this year, man. Like we've called a lot of games. We've got a lot of upsets. Last week we talked about
mostly you. Yeah.
us.
My picks have been not great.
But you remember us? We remember talking about Duke a little bit last week and how we thought that Duke might be vulnerable versus Texas Tech, and God, that feels good. God, that feels good to get one right still, dude. And to me, the Duke loss to Texas Tech is a culmination of the way that they've played this year. They looked vulnerable in a Kansas game earlier this year without Peterson, and Texas Tech, though very inconsistent, exposed Duke, in my opinion. So Duke was 220th in the nation in free throw percentage coming into the game. They shot 58% on 30 attempts and dropped them to number 226th in the nation in free throw percentage. You're not going to win March Madness games, and especially against this these like 4-13 matchups. If you don't hit your free throws, you're going to be vulnerable to those upsets come tourney time. And the lack of depth that this Duke team has is astounding. We talked about the Cam Boozer-Toppin matchup. Toppin was the third leading scorer for Texas Tech, and Texas Tech beat Duke. The only 2 people in double figures for Duke were the Boozers. Cam with 23, Caden with 13. That was it. They had nobody else. Everyone had like 5 points and 2 points. They're still the favorites in ACC play, in my opinion, Rick. But last week you called out a really good Virginia team. We said how you have to play UNC twice. If they don't figure out their depth problem and they don't get to the line and actually convert their free throw attempts, they're in big trouble. They have Michigan on 221. They might lose by 40. So this Duke team is faltering late, and it's not a good sign going into tourney time. So just wanted to call that out before we go to on notice. But I don't know if you have any closing comments. We could skip the Pirates call out for this week.
Yeah, we could talk about Seton Hall next week. They're going to win their games. So
yeah, sure will.
On notice, let me quick knock out my West Coast team here. Seattle U.
Love it.
Is my pick right now for number 3 in the West Coast Conference behind.
Do you want to switch the graphic? And
behind, yeah, it's a cool graphic. I guess we could do that if it wants to. Does not want to.
Fair enough.
Grab that. Go ahead and talk to me about Murray State, and I will grab a graphic.
Yeah. So Murray State, man, 10-3 in the season, 6-0 at home, 6-game winning streak. We talked about Drake last year, and just how good Drake was in a pretty resurgent Missouri Valley Conference. They beat Drake in dominant fashion, holding them to 72 points. That's pretty impressive against an offense that was essentially top 20, no matter how you spun it last year. This team is insane on the offensive side of the basketball. They're 20th in scoring offense. They're 34th in field goal percentage, 39th in three-point percentage, 20th in three-point made, 26th in free throws made. A ton of balance in the way that they can attack you on the offensive side of the basketball. They are 5th in second half offense at 50 points. They are scoring 50 points in just the second half. That is diabolical offensive efficiency. Aggressive on the offensive side of the glass. 11 rebounds a game for 51st in the country. They can't play defense. That will be their downfall come tournament time, and even maybe come MVC time. but they guard the 3-point line very well. I really like their perimeter defense. Watch out for them. They're 7th in allowed 3 points made and 4th in allowed 3 points attempted. They don't let you shoot the 3 at all. I like their chances, but the one thing that I want to call out is you still got Belmont. We talked about Belmont on Notice a few weeks back. Belmont is still the favorite to win that conference, but man, dude, the MVC is for real this year. Belmont, Murray State, you still got Drake up there. Watch out for Missouri Valley Conference this year. You might not only just have the auto bid, you could very well have an at-large bid. That's how good this conference is. So go Murray State this year, man.
Well, and it's wild that there's that kind of talent stacked, and they're getting wins, right? I mean, they're doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun basketball. You know, we watch a lot of really shitty basketball in the Power Four.
Sure do.
I think that's the thing that really stands out for me is like these smaller conferences just want it more. You know, it's like the SEC's old thing. It just means more. Like these kids want it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it back to Seattle. Take it back to Seattle real quick.
Yeah, so Seattle, I have them behind Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Obviously, we've talked a lot about them, but this team is closer than you would think, having most people never heard of them. 30th in field goal percentage, 50th in blocks, 23rd in steals, 57 in Ken Palm's D rating, which is something that we still give some credence to. We don't pepper in the Ken Palm rankings, but they play San Francisco today. You know, we talked about how they've been good recently. They had a good run last season. Obviously, year over year, they've lost some talent. But then they play Gonzaga on Friday and St. Mary's a week from tomorrow. And we're going to know. They'll either still be on notice because they'll be in first place in the West Coast Conference, or we'll never talk about them again.
Right.
They have this 7-footer, a sophomore. He transferred up from GCU. He would like come in and spot start. I saw him in a couple games early in the year, and it was like, oh, this kid could get good when he's ready. He took over as a starter a week ago, and he's just averaging like 15 points a block and like 5 free throws made every single game. Like he gets to the line, he does his job, and he's not he's not transferring to Kentucky like some people, but
baby dear.
As a large player learning to move in a relatively weak conference, watch out for Austin Martin because he might be able to turn something on, and he'll be a lot of the reason why the Red Hawks can win this conference if they do.
Yeah, I would love nothing more than for our entire conversation about St. Mary's and Gonzaga that we have today to be completely wrong because Seattle goes undefeated in the WAC and is a freaking 8 seed in the tournament. Go Seattle, dude. Also, sweet logos. I don't know if we've got the graphic up now. Thank you, Rick. Really good logos in these mid-major conferences. I mean, they're just so cool, dude. The whole mid-major should be on notice for how sweet their logos is. I'm gonna take it to trending down. Rick talked about how we've seen a lot of really poor Power 4 basketball, and a team that I've been high on all year and was my early season favorite to win the SEC was Alabama, and they look like shit. I don't blame them for the 21-point loss to Arizona. Arizona, by far and away, the favorite to win March Madness now. But what I blame them for is to follow that up by a 10-point win to South Florida and then barely skating by Kennesaw State by 10. Best win of the season is St. John's. That's it doesn't feel like there's a lot of heart besides Phil Bond, who's just one of the most incredible freshmen I've seen in a long time. The offense is still their offense, right, Rick? They're 6th in the scoring offense. They're 22nd in 2-point percentage, 3rd in 3-point made. But this team is one of the worst defensive teams that I have seen in the last 5 years. They're 307th in scoring defense, 325th in opponents' field goals made, 245th in fouls committed, 264th in forced turnovers, and they are allowing 13 offensive rebounds a game, which is 359th in the country. There's 366 teams. There's no heart, and that's the thing that I think I'm struggling with. So, gauntlet to start the SEC season. We've shat on Kentucky, but they got Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Texas is weak, Mississippi State is weak, and then Oklahoma, Tennessee, Mizzou, and Florida. If they don't start winning some of these games, we're gonna talk about a 500 Alabama going into the back half of the SEC season. So concerned about Bama. They haven't looked like the team they have from last year, and they got to figure it out before we're talking about them at like an 8 or 9 seed in the NCAA tourney.
Which is just crazy,
I
given
know.
where they were last year, where the SEC was last year. That's for me, like the real glaring part here is like Florida sucks too. Alabama downturn. Why? Because the conference is worse. So like, where was this hiding?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's very
worrisome. Worrisome for sure.
Yeah.
I have decided that until I run out of teams, I'm going to target every single team in the American. And this week is Memphis. Memphis sucks.
Oh my God.
This team
sorry.
has been good like recently.
Yeah.
Like they recruit well. Like they're in a hotbed. They're right in the middle of everything going on down south. Memphis sucks. This team is really, really bad. They did beat Alcorn State. So that's a win. 299th in field goal percentage, 319th in 2-point shooting percentage, 264th in 3-point shooting percentage, 234th in free throw shooting percentage. I know what you're thinking. They're just a bad shooting team. They probably make up for it on the other end. 281st in defensive rebounding. And they're like, oh, well, it's probably just good guard play and they're undersized. 211th in assists, 320th in turnovers committed.
Oh, shit.
And then it's like at some point you run out of like, oh, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, because they're also 348th in fouls. So I tried. I'm like, I don't want to go in on every team in the American. Let me start with the one that looks the best to me. I couldn't find one redeeming stat or quality for this Memphis team.
Yeah.
The good news is that most of these kids are going to graduate. So
thank God. Maybe we'll get some freaking better recruiting in the next year. And what you're not telling the viewers is lost to UNLV and then probably the worst loss of the season to Mississippi State, who is god awful. So I don't know what American team you're going to pick next week, but now I'm really excited for the viewers. He talked to put the entire American Conference on notice, trending down last week. Man, stay tuned for
I'll give you a hint. And the pick might shock you.
Oh.
That was the hint.
Oh. It's probably going to be
We're doing Wichita.
Yes, dude. Yes. Oh man, yeah, great.
I've had enough.
Yeah, I've had it. I'm with you. Take us into it. Let's get it.
Yeah, game of the week. Thin week for you guys coming off the holiday. We usually try to give you one today. Instead, we've got one tomorrow.
It's a good matchup.
We're going to stay in the West Coast Conference and give you Santa Clara and Oregon State. Apologies. Yep. And don't let the rankings on the screen fool you. These are bad teams. But it should be a fun game.
Absolutely.
This is sitting Santa Clara -6.5. The total's actually slipped by a point down to 153.5. Man, I don't know how many kids are going to be at this game. I do not know offhand how many seats there are at the Gill. No one is going to be here tomorrow. There's NFL football. Kids are home for the holidays. It's supposed to snow. Like no one is going to this game. No. So completely eliminates any kind of home court advantage that Oregon State may have had. I mean, they're 7-6 already. So I can't definitively tell you anyone would have been at this game anyway. But for the viewers, of our show, for the people at home, this should be a really, really fun game. These are two very athletically different basketball teams, and they're deep and they're fun. I'll let Justin get into some of the stats here, but
Yeah.
that's really what stood out to me is like this is like Euro ball against like pure athleticism, and I'm excited to see who wins out.
Yeah, and I'm going to start us off with Santa Clara, but I'm actually really impressed with the depth on both of these teams. Santa Clara, the name of the game literally is balance and depth. Like that's what they have. They got 9 guys averaging over 10 minutes a game, 2 guys in double figure scoring. That's it. But they have 9 guys averaging over 6 points a game. They don't do anything one thing amazingly, but they do a lot of things correct. And I actually have a lot of fun watching the Santa Clara team. They're 29th in assists, 27th in assists on field goals made, 49th in allowed 3 points made, and 34th in first half defense. They are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the entire nation, dude. They are 10th in the nation at almost 13 a game. I'm really excited to watch this team play. For me, the keys for Santa Clara is please stop fouling. Like, why do you foul so much? 322nd in the nation in committed fouls a game. And this does not bode well against an Oregon State team that is 19th in the nation on free throw percentage on 23 attempts a game. And Oregon State draws a lot of fouls. They're 45th in drawed fouls. That is a recipe for disaster. Santa Clara has to keep their hands to themselves and keep them off the line. You have to get crafty and use your athleticism. Rick just rightly pointed out that this team is very athletic. Oregon State is also athletic. They're averaging 5 blocks a game, which is 60th in the country. Santa Clara is getting blocked 8 times a game. You have to simply going into the rack and trying to use your body won't work. You got to get your back cuts going. You got to get into their bodies, use your strength and athleticism, and get to the line. Attack the offensive glass, right? We just talked about how they're 10th in the nation at 13 a game. Oregon State is allowing 11 offensive rebounds a game, which is 303rd in the country. You need 7. I want 7 offensive rebounds by Santa Clara by the half, and this game is theirs. So those are kind of my 3 keys. What are your thoughts on Santa Clara, Rick?
Yeah, for me, this is all their perimeter defense
Yeah.
against Josiah Lake. Lake make I lost my tab that has stats up. Dude
Here,
shoots from the line like you would not believe.
Yeah.
Draws fouls constantly. He plays so downhill and so clean that you're gonna draw fouls, especially against a team that gets handsy. So for me, that's really where I want to see. I don't want to see Santa Clara allowing him to cut in and reach the paint. I really need that perimeter defense to be up. Lake can pass too. He's really good. So he will find opportunities. But if you can keep him from slicing through your defense, hitting the basket, because he will, and then drawing the foul on top of it, Santa Clara should be the better team here. They are better top to bottom. They're a little bit bigger, and I only say that because when you're playing like more of this like spread out Euro ball kind of offense, the way Oregon State does, that size can really start to matter. Coming off the holidays, I think Santa Clara is probably going to be in better shape. That is strictly opinion. I have nothing that goes into that, but they've been under their coach's watchful eye. And in theory, the Oregon State kids have been on campus. Yeah. So I think the Santa Clara kids are probably going to get the edge for me there coming off the holiday. And then just their size, just keep Lake off the line and they should be fine. I think this is probably one that is decided late by those fouls. Obviously you could say that about 90% of college basketball games. But yeah, I think something like 81-73 Santa Clara.
Okay.
Just a good game, a hard fought game, but not one that anybody really runs away with. I think Santa Clara's key is just to slow down Lake and to not foul, and that kind of loans itself to a tighter played game throughout. You're not going to see a whole lot of crazy stretches if you're playing good, clean basketball.
Yeah, just and before I get into Oregon State a little bit here, Josiah Lake is a monster. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals on 53% from the field and 84% from the line, with almost a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. This kid can ball 36 minutes a game. I'm confused by Oregon State, Rick. I can't figure this team out because when you look at your roster construction here for these guys, it's incredible. Again, not terribly athletic, but really well balanced. And you're losing to team like Evansville and UMass. Like, I don't understand. The one thing I do like about this team is they do have multiple looks. 11 guys are averaging over 14 minutes a game. And to me, that is a recipe for success because fresh bodies means decent perimeter defense where they're 58th in 3-point percentage defense and 83rd in overall field goal percentage defense at 40%. And though Santa Clara doesn't shoot a lot of threes, what my thoughts are is Oregon State can make their really good perimeter defense an X factor if they throw multiple guys at them, switch up some presses and figure out, how to make Santa Clara initiate their offense further out. I do like that Oregon State is 53rd in assist to field goals made. There's not a ton of standstill in their sets. I really like the way they move around. So I think the only way for Oregon State to win this game is you got to run them to death. Get into your sets and tire them out. When SCU gets tired, they obviously get handsy. So if you get to the line early where you're shooting almost 80% as a team, which is fucking absurd, it'll keep you in the game. Keep it close at halftime. You're better in the second half at 38 points than you are in the first half at 33 points. And Santa Clara is not a second half team where they're allowing 41 points or in the 231st in the country. So I think you have to do whatever it takes to make Santa Clara uncomfortable. Three-quarter court press, throw zone looks at them, 1-3-1, 2-3, 3-2s, and it'll keep you in the game. Ultimately, I am taking Santa Clara. I do think it'll be closer than the spread. To me, this feels like a 3 or 4 point win by Santa Clara. I'm not an over-under guy, so I'm not quite sure. But give me Santa Clara. I think they're more well-balanced. I think they're more well-coached. Josiah Lake gets going, and this conversation changes. So give this one a watch. It's going to be fun. What time is this game at?
This is going to be 4 o'clock Arizona time. So it's a 6 p.m. Eastern time start.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
And watch the guards, man, because Hammond is good too. Hammond and Lake can both ball. And
get it going.
This should be a fun one.
Absolutely.
As my camera breaks again. I'm just going to go back to standing back here.
I can hear you just fine, so don't worry.
Justin, the only reason people tune in for this show is to see our beautiful faces.
Very true. Very true. Well, not mine, but yours.
All right, that is the game of the week. Make sure you jump onto Chainlink and make that pick. This should be a good one, and it's kind of a thin slate the next couple of days here for college basketball as everything comes back from the break. So not a lot of opportunities to pick college ball, but this one will be on there. It'll be lit up. Make sure you get those picks in. We are giving away a T-shirt to most wins and longest chain in January if we can get that leaderboard up to 50 entries.
Very nice. So, very nice. And if you don't want to download chain link, even though it's incredibly easy and very user-friendly, please put it in the comments. It's really not difficult to leave a comment, and it helps us and it helps our algorithm. So it would go definitely a long way. One thing I want to keep an eye out for tomorrow too, Rick, if you don't mind, is Northern Colorado at Colorado. Northern Colorado is a very good team. They will win their conference, and Colorado is a 14.5-point favorite in that game. Not only do I think Northern Colorado can lose by less than that, I think they have a chance to win that game. So keep your eye on that one. That's a fun one, and definitely could shake up things in the Big 12 and Northern Colorado's conference as well. I forgot what it is. So that'll be a really, really fun game to watch. And it's before our game of the week. So you can watch that and then tune into the game of the week. See if you go 2-0 in those games.
I like it. And I can add that to the board if anybody wants to see it.
That would be fun. That'd be fun.
We have the technology.
Yeah. It'll be a good one.
Man, anything else? Any other call outs?
No other call outs. Fantastic week of basketball upcoming. Really, really good mid-major matchups. So keep your eyes peeled. But Rick, what do you got? Anything else on your end?
Just bet Northern Colorado at plus 850 on the money line. So
There you go.
Rock and roll. Guys, shop around. Line shop. That was the first one I found. You could probably find better odds than that.
Let's do it.
Thanks for joining us on Dead Ball Dancing. We will see you same time, same place next week in 2026.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, y'all. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace out, y'all.